Everyone, big round of applause for our first responders. I was trying to figure out what to say about September 11th, and my husband knows that I like to talk a lot, so he read it first and told me what to take out. But the message that I have and that I'm going to give about September 11th, I want to make sure that everyone understands that it's not political. I don't like political talk. It is all about unity and how we can honor those victims. On September 11, 2001, I was pregnant with my son, Keaton. He was scheduled to be born in October, but because of my type 1 diabetes, they expected he would be born earlier, or they would have to induce to make sure that his size wasn't too big. When September 11th happened, I was preparing to get ready for my last appointment. My mother called and told me to turn on the television, and I was horrified by the sights I was seeing. The nurses were trying to keep me calm at my appointment because they didn't want my emotions to affect my son's heartbeat, but it was too late. They were all listening to the radio and watching what was unfolding on television, and even though I couldn't see it, I could hear the screaming and could hear them talking about people jumping out of buildings, and I heard the towers fall, and I was devastated. I went to a prayer vigil at the hospital and saw so many people there, so many different people. But it was odd on September 11th, and I think many of you here will agree with me. It didn't seem like on that day that anyone was different, that anyone had a different skin color or a different job or was rich or poor, or that anyone had a different religion or faith that they practiced. I just saw a lot of people feeling the same fear and pain for what had just happened and desperately in search of answers. My first visit to the 9/11 memorial site before its completion included looking at the names of all the Twin Tower victims, flight victims, and all who lost their lives that were engraved in 2 huge squares. I took a picture of so many names and came home and felt like taking a photo wasn't enough. So I found the stories of some of those names. Stories like the one of 34-year-old Laura Lee Morabito, the national sales manager for Qantas Airways. She met her future husband in the jacuzzi at an apartment complex where they were neighbors. They shared an appreciation for Barry Manilow's singing, and they sat on the pool deck sharing a bottle of wine and pizza all evening. This beautiful woman he met that night had been a tomboy. Her older brother, Jeff DeFazio, was protective of her, and she learned to protect her younger brother, Craig, once she knocked a tooth from the mouth of a child who picked on her younger brother. Perhaps because Jeff had scared away her potential suitors earlier in life, she never told him about Mark until they were engaged. I said, "Tell me about this guy," Jeff DeFazio said. He quickly decided that she had found the right match, though, and told his sister, "You guys are probably the only 2 people I know in the country who like Barry Manilow at the same time." 38-year-old Paul Keating, a New York firefighter, ladder 5, he was off that day, sleeping when the plane got hit, and got up and went to the trade centers to help. He was the youngest of 6 kids. Paul Keating went to a carpet store for something to put on his floor for $100, and the jokester he was, he looked at the rug that caught his eye that cost $119. As the salesman launched into a pitch about why he could not leave the store for $100, stain guard and padding and such, Mr. Keating grabbed the tag. "See, it's right there," Mr. Keating said. Then he said, as if reading aloud, "Go ahead, $100. The salesman laughed, and Mr. Keating got his bargain. I look back on that day and look at where we are and ask what happened to us. Why are we fighting so much? Why is there this huge divide? The breakdown of people looking at others as objects and not humans. People fighting on Facebook about things that they're not involved in or know nothing about. And the communities. I drive through the inner city and the suburbs daily. I grew up in the inner city, and I work in the suburbs. So my time there is constant. Looking at people, having their place, and feeling safe. It's not my home, it's not my problem. The separation that exists here is undeniable, but it certainly is not unfixable. How can we truly say that we are honoring all those people who died on 9/11 if we are not becoming a part of the change that we want so desperately to see. Not depending on politicians to create that change, but us. Why can't it be that we can become the generation that changes this separation? That we make a conscious decision to remember how that day made us feel. As sad as those events were, we all felt like Americans. We all felt connected to the pain and the grieving we were feeling. Why can't we do this when bad things aren't happening? I encourage everyone today to not stay on your side. We have a lot of people here of different races, different colors, religions. Make it a point today to cross the line and introduce yourself to someone different. Talk about your lives. If your kids are here, have them play together. Sit next to people you don't know. Invite someone of a different background to your home for dinner. Go to a different faith's church and see how they worship. You will find that the feeling you had on September 11th about what connected us only remains if we let it. We all are Americans with the same fears, the same life experiences, the same feelings about our jobs, the same struggles for our kids, the same hopes for a better future. My hope for today and the future is not that we just spend every 5 years saying we're sad that 9/11 happened, but that we spend every day saying, what can I do to make sure that I'm committing myself to keeping their memories alive? I've been blessed with a life that was tragically taken away from those people on that day, and that very well could have been my life. What would I want had this been me? For others to do to make the time I had on earth matter. For the names I took photos of: Laura, for Heather, for Lisa, for Paul, for Roger, for Charles, for James and Ian, for the 2 Roberts, Suzanne, the 2 Johns, Peter, and so many who lost their lives on that day. I will not only remember you in spirit, I will also remember you in action, by what I do, not just what I say. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said in a very poignant quote, your actions speak so loudly, I can't even hear what you're saying. It's time for us to understand that if we were all given a second chance to do things differently, we'd love more, we'd live more, we'd give more, we'd create more, we'd hug more, we'd laugh a lot more, and worry a lot less. We'd appreciate more, we'd include more, we would just be more. We would do those things that we thought we had more time to do. We can do this in honor of them. Let's be the change so we can see the change and keep their memories alive.